one of those days where it is good to be a New Yorker. Welcome to Off Duty. I'm Wendy Bounds. We're standing here in the Jacob Javits Center, which hosts one of the world's largest car shows. I've been mingling around and thinking about what's in my own garage. I would say it is time for a trade-in. We will be showing you what's hot with BMWs and Bentleys. We've even got a Harley for those of you who like 2 wheels instead of 4. But first up, the Caddy. We're looking at the new Cadillac XTS. It is the highest-end luxury sedan for the brand, and the man who's going to make sense of it all, tell us how it came to be and what it is Don Butler, Vice President of Marketing for Cadillac. Beautiful car. Who's the audience for this car? Let's start with this. This is your highest-end Cadillac.
Correct. For us, XTS represents the new definition of a large luxury sedan for Cadillac, and we needed to contemporize the design. We needed to make it more modern, more fresh, and so we've done that from the standpoint of the styling on the exterior with things like LED signature lighting that has a vertical kind of lamp signature for us that identifies as a Cadillac, adaptive forward headlighting. And the other thing that we've done as well with the vehicle is that there's a huge emphasis on technology within the XTS, and technology that's meaningful, that's purposeful for our consumers.
Both inside the car and outside the car.
Inside the car and outside the car.
Let's talk about some of that on the outside. I mean, you have these sensors. Security is a big issue with this car, and in terms of what it can sense going around you, whether you're going to be in a crash. Tell us how that works.
Yeah, and so with XTS, we'll be offering a system that is basically all-encompassing in terms of a 360-degree view of the surrounding environment of the vehicle. And so we have forward radar, we have forward cameras actually. You get a warning, and in this case it's a very unique industry-first type of warning. Today's warning systems typically are bells or buzzers or
going, right.
Or just maybe a light. And so we actually have an industry-first, the safety alert seat. We actually have a seat that vibrates.
All right, I'm going to drive right out of here. You're all right with that?
Absolutely.
You don't need this car. Now, the heart of the technology system is right here. You call it Q?
Right. Q stands for Cadillac User Experience.
Okay.
And really the way to think about this is as a tablet for the vehicle. So there's a capacitive touchscreen interface.
Like an iPad.
Like an iPad, large icons, and even the gestures that you'd use on a tablet. So sweeping, pinching, sliding, selecting by touching. Those are exactly the same gestures that you'd use with Q for Cadillac User Experience.
Would you be doing internet surfing? Would you do your music here? What all would you control from here?
Not internet surfing, because we want you concentrating on the driving.
That was
Careful.
A test. That was a test, Don. You passed that test.
The other thing that's really cool about Q is we have what we call natural voice recognition, natural language voice recognition. So that means if you're familiar with voice rec systems today, you have to step through a complicated series of menus. So you might say music, artist, Black Keys, right? With Q, you can simply say, "I'd like to listen to the Black Keys," or
immediately it recognizes not just your voice, anybody's voice,
or play something by the Black Keys. We have a broad contextual awareness, but we concentrated in 3 categories, and that's why we're able to do natural language recognition. And so the things that are most useful in terms of natural language are obviously phone calls, right? That definitely makes total sense. Right. So the second thing is navigation. So you'd be able to say, I'd like to go to the Javits Center.
I'm going somewhere more cool than the Javits Center. Okay. Come on. I'd like to go to the Bahamas. Take me to the airport. Now, for a man who knows cars, you need to look no further than Mr. Dan Neal. But for some reason, this fast-talking car columnist out of North Carolina is too scared to drive this vehicle. Come on, Dan. Think it over. I dare you.
Now, you may have noticed that this car is kind of shiny on the outside. It's got a big chrome grille up front, probably as percentage of frontal area as big a grille as any car ever. There's chrome bands around the DLO, that's the daylight opening, this part here. There are chrome brows on the taillights, and the lighting instruments up front also have shiny reflective surfaces. This is a pretty shiny reflective car. Why buy a Buick when there are so many other fine cars in this class? They have to talk about something, so they're going to talk about quiet tuning. That is sound and noise abatement measures in this car. start with acoustic windshield, triple sealed doors, lots of foam insulation, sound deadening materials in the floorboards and on either side of the firewall. That's one big thing. And they've also done a lot to quell NVH up under the hood. So they've done a lot to this car to make it quiet. Is quiet a compelling market differentiator? All things being equal, you'd rather be able to go to 60 miles an hour in 3 seconds. But in this market, quiet could mean a lot. So how does the Verano feel? Well, it's definitely a 4-cylinder car, and they've done heroic work to dial down the noise. But still, you know, there's a certain lack of depth to the engine. Once up to its appropriate speed, the engine runs fine. It's quiet. The steering, obviously, you know, these electric steering cars, I mean, it has a, you know, it's responsive. It gathers weight appropriately as you turn it off center. There is even a little, you know, there's a little touch there as well. But if you start sliding this car around, the thing that will tell you the wheels are slipping are your ears, not your hands. Well, would I buy it? You know, if I were that sort of person, I think I would buy it. There is a lot to be said for this car. And it makes me feel a little bit, I don't know, global driving a Chinese-designed car. But I think there is a value proposition in play here, and that is the Kia Optima and the Hyundai Sonata are both really strong cars at this price point. And I don't know, I think it would be a close call.
Now I could get used to this. You know our own Lee Hawkins from his celebrity interviews, and sometimes he even gets to ride around with them in their posh cars. Well, today he has ditched the celebrities. He's concentrating only on the cars, and his first stop is Bentley.
Standing next to me in this impeccably tailored suit is Richard Charlesworth, who is Director of Royal and VIP Relations for Bentley Motors. Now, what does that mean? I mean, that means the most important customers of Bentley, including the Prince of Wales and the Queen of England. This is the guy dealing with them. Tell me about that experience.
Well, that, as you say, I'm very fortunate. That is my job. I look after our relationships with our most important customers, including members of the royal family around the world.
So I want you to show me the portfolio of Bentley.
Sure. We're
going to start here with this convertible. Give me the model.
Well, this is the first time this has been seen publicly, because this is the new V8. It's the GTC, so it's a GT convertible. This is the new V8 version. This has got a new shape to it, a slightly steeper front, smoother lines here, these super-formed aluminium wings, which gives you a nice clean look to the car. And it's a slightly wider track as well, which gives you a more planted look on the road. So an altogether crisper look for the car. And on the inside as well, you can see in this particular example, it's the best of crew tailoring here, where we've got two-tone interior. On the dashboard, apart from the wood in the centre, the traditional walnut, we've done this engine-turned aluminium on each side as well, which gives it a slightly sportier look. And you can see with the two-tone interior, it picks out the detail of the seat.
Right.
A lot of little details like this, where if you're driving with the hood down, with the roof down in the open air, this puts a little bit of hot air in the back of your neck just to make sure you're nice and warm on those cool summer evenings. It's got a slightly steeper rear end to it, and it's got this sort of double horseshoe effect where you've got these two horseshoes coming together with this natural lift to the trunk area there, which gives you the aerodynamic downforce that you have at high speed, because this, at the end of the day, it's almost a 200-mile-an-hour machine. This is.
Right.
So it's although it's a convertible, and often
do you know the 0 to 60 on this?
It's around just less than 5 seconds.
Okay.
So this is a very fast car with it as well.
One more thing, we want to take a look at the engine here.
And this, as it says on the tin, this is 4-litre V8, twin turbocharged. But this is a new development that we've done with our group colleagues in Audi as well, where we've come out with this very economical V8 where the turbochargers are mounted in the middle of the V. So you get a very economical use of turbocharged power.
So this is nearly $200,000.
Yeah, 191,000 or just over 191,000 for this. And then the coupe version, which we're going to see in a minute, is 174,000.
All right, well, this is the coupe model of the Bentley Continental GT V8. and this is $174,000.
$174,000, that's right, yeah. This is the one that made the name for, or revitalised the name for Bentley going back to 2003, and that's why with the new version of the GT it's been such a great success for us. It's a car which has many facets.
Yeah.
So to be, to have almost 200 mile an hour performance, but be docile around town, have a decent sized trunk to carry your weekend bags or your shop or your golf clubs is something that not many cars can offer.
All right, so we got to see two of the vehicles that are really more part of the performance aspect of the brand. Let's check out the big car over here. Well, I refer to this as the big car because this is actually the biggest car in the Bentley family of vehicles. It's the Bentley Mulsanne, nearly $300,000.
Yep, $294,000 this car. So yeah, getting up towards $300,000. This is the flagship of the fleet, as you said. This is the biggest car that we make. I'm immensely proud of this car.
And you mentioned that in a lot of these markets like China, a lot of the people like to be chauffeur driven.
That's right.
This is the vehicle for that. Show me
it is.
What happens when you want to have a picnic in the back.
If you want to have
a
picnic, well, two things. First of all, you have your picnic tables, which open up at the back of the seat here, but then you have your refrigerator with your champagne bottles inside, and you can see it opens and closes at the touch of a button.
Does that come with the Dom Perignon?
No, I think you have to, but then it's a very subjective choice as to what you put in there, isn't it?
Okay, we saw the sheet metal and the interior. Let's see what's under the hood. So this is the massive 6 3/4 liter twin turbo.
This is the one. Now this is the engine that's been the Bentley engine now since the late 1950s. It's a bit like grandfather's axe though. We've changed the head and we've changed the stave lots of times, but the basic design is unchanged since the late 1950s. Built by hand, and you can see it's got the name of the fellow who built it. You can trace back to the guy who actually built the engine in your car, which we think is part of the character of the car.
How many do you ship a year of these?
It's built to order. It's a hand-built car, built to order, so we build as many as people want, but around 700, 800 cars a year, something like that.
Now, not everybody associates the concept of green with luxury in the auto industry, but BMW is trying to change that. We are going to check out their latest concept car. It's called the i8. We're about to check out some of BMW's latest concept cars. Who better to tell us about them than the CEO of BMW, Ludwig Willisch. He's right here beside me. This is pretty amazing looking. It's almost like a bat car.
Well, it sort of is. It had been a star in the latest movies, and believe it or not, but it's going to be a reality in the not too distant future. And what you see here is pretty close to what it's going to be in spring 2014. So if you look at it, if you look at how the door opens, and if you look how many people can sit in it, and believe it or not, it'll have the performance of the current M3 performance car, and yet have a mileage of a car that doesn't exist today. I mean 80 miles to the gallon.
So this car, is an electric car completely?
It's a plug-in hybrid. It will have a 3-cylinder petrol engine, and it will have an electric motor as well. So one at the front and one at the back. It will even have 4-wheel drive.
So this is where you get charged up, so to speak?
Yeah. If it comes to charging up the batteries, which are in the middle of the car, this is where you charge up for the electric motor. The overall performance is 360 horsepower, which means the car will have real supercar performance combined with unbelievable mileage.
What about the wheels? Anything special about those?
Well, this is all geared to very high efficiency, meaning that the car will have a very little rolling resistance. This is why the wheels look that way. This is why, if you look at this, how we feed the air through the car, this is all made to have a very, very efficient car.
Well, this is the instrument panel of the future, where you choose what you want to see, except for the official administration that homologates cars always makes you, of course, give you some information that you need, for example, your current speed.
Right.
But other than that, you will be able to look at range, you'll look at, of course, the navigation will be much more diverse in terms of what to choose from, what you want to see, and at the end of the day, it'll be the driver's choice what he actually wants to see on those two screens. You can also look at the place where you're going, so it really, as I say, it's at the discretion of the driver what he wants to see.
So it's a 3D version of what you're actually seeing on the road, just right there in front of you.
Yeah, and also this thing can look further ahead than you can.
And how much for this particular car?
Not decided yet, but it'll be affordable.
Free. I think it's free. Don't you guys think it should be free? Now, you know her from covering nightlife and fashion, but did you know that Elva Ramirez also has an eye for motorcycles? Now, I'm sitting here on this new Honda CBR 1000, but Elva, she checked out the latest Harleys. They are revamping their rims to appeal to a younger audience. Check it out. Everyone thinks they know what the classic Harley-Davidson rider looks like, but Harley-Davidson of New York City is trying to reach a younger, hipper crowd. We came here to the dealership in Queens to check out just what it takes to drive a Harley in the city.
Here at Harley-Davidson of New York City, we're taking Harley-Davidson's base models and changing them up a little bit. We take one bike and we make it old school looking with big fat white walls and what they call ape hangers, the handlebars that are high. We came up with a logo that has NYC in it to really give it that New York City stamp. And it's modeled after the old school New York City subway token. So every one of our custom bikes gets a New York City subway, an actual subway token. You know, I went on eBay and bought, you know, like 50 subway tokens. So we glue them to each bike that we do. They're hidden, yeah. Well, they're in different spots. It's like Where's Waldo, you know, you gotta find the subway token.
What we're trying to do is kind of build a New York City style motorcycle. We designed these bikes for the streets of New York, the mean streets of New York, and they are mean. I've been in countries that are impoverished that have better roads than New York. It's incredible.
And so what does that mean in terms of the features of that bike like that needs?
You know, some of the bikes that we're doing, the suspension is a little beefed up on the bikes to handle, you know, just the rough terrain of New York. What's really in vogue now is a lot of black powder coating, so a lot of the bikes are blacked out with little splashes of chrome or stainless steel. They're powerful, you can get out of the way when you gotta move, and they're really, the look of the motorcycle, it's got a bad look. It's got a mean look to it.
This brand is one brand especially that there's a lifestyle behind it. And most people like to customize their Harley to fit their personality. So you got in New York City a huge melting pot of different personality types. And in Brooklyn we have some of the people in Brooklyn more so than in other neighborhoods that are into that old school 50s pinup girl bobber style motorcycle. I think some of the most important things for having a motorcycle in New York City is good brakes, good suspension, a louder exhaust system. It's convenient to park. You can get to the front of every red light. I even have a license plate holder that you could just slide the plate out and put it in your back pocket and park on the sidewalk and not get a ticket. They could still scan the VIN number and give you a ticket, but most of the time they don't bother with that.
So we've been talking about bikes for a while, and now I'm dying to get on a bike. Can you help me out?
I certainly can. Let's do it.
All right. For the Wall Street Journal, I'm Elva Ramirez. That's it for today's WSJ Off Duty, though I am finding a lot around here that I think would look really good in my garage, like this Blanc Noir Bugatti. It's a special edition, one-off, a mere $2.4 million, but you can have one for $1.9 million. In the meantime, I'm Wendy Bounds. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow.